Good morning, everybody. There are certain places on the planet that are just plain strategic because of their location, and one of those is the Rock of Gibraltar, part of the Spanish-Portuguese peninsula, and it was on this date, September 10, in 1967, that the residents of Gibraltar voted to stay part of the United Kingdom. Gibraltar is on the far left of this map, circled. It's the western edge of the Mediterranean, and for most of human history was the only way out of the Mediterranean. And this is what it looks like. It's a finger that sticks down into the Mediterranean, and then there's a bay next to it, big harbor for Gibraltar. So it's not just a big rock, but it's a finger. Neanderthal people lived Gibraltar a long, long time ago, and part of the fascination of that part of the world is all the different civilizations that have been there. For instance, the Phoenicians, the great seafarers of the Mediterranean, and this map shows their colonies, were there. And for the Greeks and Romans, Gibraltar was one of the two pillars of Hercules. One pillar would be the European side, the other pillar, the African side. And about 10 years ago, Dorothy and I were in Gibraltar. Here you can see us on Gibraltar, but behind us is Africa. So that's how close Africa and Gibraltar are. It was Roman for a long, long time. This map shows the greatest extent of the Roman Empire. And Gibraltar had a very active trading city, the ruins of which are still there. So for the Romans, particularly when they wanted to trade along the coasts of France and the Iberian Peninsula and so on, Gibraltar very, very important. But Rome fell, didn't it? And then the Visigoths and the Goths came in, and they went down to the Iberian Peninsula too, then eventually had to leave, but their legacy is there, here and there. And then in 8th century, 7th century, the Muslims from Africa, known as the Moors, came into Spain and left their legacy, partly with buildings like this, which is a Moorish castle in Gibraltar, but also the word Gibraltar comes from an Arabic word. And a lot of those names in southern Spain have Arabic flavor. But the Spanish reconquered the Iberian Peninsula and eventually took over the whole area, Granada, where Gibraltar was last to fall and was abandoned almost. Well, in 1588, the Spanish invaded England with the Armada. This was just one of these great turning points in history, partly because after this, you saw the rise of Britain as a world power. And in the early 1700s was the War of Spanish Succession, one of many wars between various factions in Europe. And one result was that Gibraltar was given to the British for as long as they wanted it, and it still is that today. So if you were in the Royal Navy, you paid attention to Gibraltar on the left, Malta in the middle, the Dardanelles and the Bosporus in the upper right, and eventually the Suez Canal in the lower right. Very important for the Navy. So Gibraltar was heavily fortified with cannons like this. You can see them today. There's a very cool museum where you can walk through the caves and so on. But what a lot of people think of is the Rock of Gibraltar. And there is this tall rock. It's got a knife-edged spine with a narrow, narrow road at the top and monkeys that are up there. It's kind of cool. And from there you can look north into the Spanish city. So this is how close the Spanish city is to Gibraltar. And you actually have to cross the runway to get in and out. So that's kind of weird. Well, in 1954, Queen Elizabeth II, who had just become queen, visited Gibraltar. And today, Gibraltar is still part of the UK. Our event is they voted to do that in 1967. This kind of ticks off the Spanish, but nothing they can do about it, really. So this part of the world, very strategic. On the right, Gibraltar. The middle, the Cape of Trafalgar, where Nelson defeated Napoleon's fleet, and the top, our military base in Rhoda, reminding us of the importance of this spot.